Hi friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to look into different React project structures. The structure of the project varies based on different project structure size, complexity, or the architecture and the libraries you are using. Now, a well-organized project structure is really the difference between a developer's dream or a coding nightmare. So it is really important to make the right decision right at the start. So we will look into 5 of the different kinds of React project structures. They are useful in different scenarios. So we'll start with the flat project structure design, then we will look into the component-based structure, and then we will look at feature-based structure, and then finally we will start to move into the more modular design where the design is more scalable and it's more modular and it's for more complex and large scale projects. And that the fourth one is atomic design. And finally, lastly, we will discuss the structure which I really like to use in my projects. So that is, you can say it's an hybrid structure. So I like to use I like to combine different project structures to make one which works well for me. It has worked for me for the past many years. So I'd like to share that as well. And you guys can give me a feedback about the strong and the weak points of that structure. So let's get started. Right, so I've created an empty project and I'll just create a new file for flat structure. So that's the first one that we are looking at. I'll just create an MD file just to make it really simple. So first of all, we will start with the SRC and then with the flat structure. So everything is mostly flat. So let's just put here something like components. Then you get styles. Then you get assets. Then you get now based on different requirements, it could be utils or libraries. And then you'll have app.tsx and app dot sorry index.tsx. This is pretty much the flat structure. Again, you can use it with your hobby projects or really small scale projects, but it is not really useful for production ready um, client end projects. So that's really um, not used for that. This is suitable only for small projects with minimal complexity. So we will not go into much detail about this structure. And now let's move to the next structure, component based structure. So again, I'll create a new file here and call it component based structure.md. Now for the component based structure, files are organized in terms of the components. So each component has its own directory containing its code, styles, and assets. So that's the basic idea. So again, we will quickly just start with that same SRC. Then first thing we have to do is called components. Now the components will have further folders or further files within them. So that's the idea with this structure. So I'll just give you a quick example here. So if I just put the same here, and after components, let's just put here header. It's another folder, and from there it could be something like header.tsx. Let's just copy this. You call it header dot css, and this could be header dot test dot tsx. And again, just to give you an example, so this could be a footer. So you're seeing in the components, we have a separate folder for each of the different components. And then from outside, you can again have the directory for your public directory, your assets directory, and then your app.tsx and the index.tsx files as well. Right. So that's the component based structure. Now we will look at the feature based structure. So let's just quickly create file here. So in the feature based, files are grouped by either the features or the pages of the application. So each feature page has its own directory, and in that own directory you will put everything related to that feature. Would it be assets? Would it be css, styles, tests? So everything will go into that feature folder. So that's the idea. So from here you'll just have features folder, and then from there on everything will be inside that features folder. So for example, let's say we have a dashboard. Now the dashboard feature will have everything with it. So let's just have another. So let's just, for example, call it styles. Assets, components, and if you really want to be more granular, you can put types here, you can put utils here, and then finally you would have dashboard.tsx, dashboard.test.tsx, and we will follow the same pattern to create different feature folders, and then they will have their own files. So this could be, let's say, a profile for feature, and then this will become profile, and finally at the end again we will have app.tsx, and we will have index.tsx. So this is a feature based on structure. This is used for most of the React projects. This gives you a more controlled, more organized structure where you have separate files for each of the feature. So imagine multiple developers are working on different parts of the application. So with this this setup, there will be less conflicts when the code is merged, and the development will be more modular, and it will create a project which can be scaled as well. Right. So the fourth of the structure that we are going to look is going to be atomic based design. Now with the atomic based design, everything is organized in the form of atomic design, whereby we organize the components into atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and pages. This structure is really scalable, modular. It provides the depth that we require with certain features which have 3-4 layers of deep components, or different components, or different parts of the application or features in terms of like components, hooks, and assets. So this structure, let's just quickly first create it and then we will further discuss it. Now in this one, so first of all we have atoms, then let's just copy it. Then these are molecules, this would become organisms, this would become templates, and this would become pages. And finally we have app.tsx and index.tsx. To explain this atomic design structure, let's quickly add some of the example components or files so that it becomes relatively easier to understand how this atomic design structure works. For example, the atoms would be the really the smallest component or smallest breakdown that we can do. So so within the atoms, let's just say we have a button component, and within that button component we have the button.tsx and we have the button style dot ts, for example. Now button is the smallest breakdown that we can do for a feature. Now let's come to molecules. Within the molecules, for example, we can have a form. So a form would contain buttons, so molecules contains atoms, so that's how it's structured. So this becomes a form, and when we talk about the organisms, this would become, for example, a header. So header contains a form and a form contains a button. Now when we look into templates, so let's just call it a 3-column layout. Now this becomes a layout which contains header, which contains form, which contains button, and finally in the pages this could be a home page. So that's how this structure works, and you can create different folders. Within those, actually there should be a folder here for form as well, and another one here for header, here for 3-column layout, let's say, another one here for home. So you can see how you can have this structure very well organized, and it provides the level of complexity that is required with more bigger or complicated projects. Now let's look at one of the hybrid structures that I really like to use in my projects, and let's just jump right in. Now I recommend this project structure for more complicated and complex setups, and I've used this extensively, and I really think that this has served me really well with different complications and project requirements. So feel free to critique and provide your own feedback whether you like it or not, because the project structure is a user preference. Everyone has their own comfortable file system or project structure that they would like to use. So I'm really looking forward to the comments and getting your feedback of how you use these structures. So let's quickly start with src, then let's put in components directory. Now what I like to do is I like to create a common folder within the components directory that provides a really good placeholder for putting some of the components that are required globally throughout the application. So I create a common folder within the components directory. Now so this could be a feature 1 directory, and this could be a feature 2 directory. Within that common folder, I'd like to let's just put a button and an input. Now with the features, what I like to do is I just put components folder here. So these are feature specific components. Then I like to have a separate folder for containers. So containers are just the stateless components which are actually just storing or just wrapping around the feature components, and they provide a whole modularity to our feature or this organization of the components. So I put the container level components into the container folder, and feature components, all of my feature components go into the components folder. Now again, if you have a very large scale project, within that components folder as well, you can then have your separate folder for each of your individual components as well, and then those folders will have their own individual files for the assets, for styles, libraries, or utils. But if it's your own judgment, but if you think that would be an overkill for the scale of project that you have, then here as well you can actually put assets and styles and utils. So same structure will follow with the feature 2 as well. Now what I would like to do with the business logic, for example, the services, or if you are using Redux stores, so your action reducer dispatchers, how you would like to make those files structured. So what I like to do is I just create another directory here which is called, let's just call it features. Within that directory, again you have the same feature name, and under that you can put, for example, your services, or similarly you can create your folders and related business logic files here. So that's how I put the business logic here. Actually you can put here reducers, actions, or if you're using for example Redux toolkit, you can actually put slices here as well for each of these features. And then finally You can have a folder with store related files. Within those, you can put your configure store.ts file as well. And finally, you can put your global styles, your assets, your utils, your services, your app.tsx, and your index.tsx. So that's the project structure that I follow. As you can see here, we have a really good organized structure with components having a common folder where you can put your common components or your design library files, your very basic design components that you can put here. Then you have feature folders. Again, they can have their own components, containers, asset styles, utils, directory there, then feature 2. And then for the business logic, I follow the same folder structure within the features directory, and I put the relevant business logic files there. So that's the hybrid structure that I really follow. Now, some of the key benefits it provides. First of all, it's the modularity, organized components, features, and state management as well. So separate directories for better modularity. Then it gives you feature control as well. So grouping related features into directories. And then it provides you a really good option to develop with your Redux store, where you have the store folder, and then you have the slices in your features as well. Then you have styles and assets that are organized as well. You have global utilities and you have feature specific utilities as well. And then entry to your project at the root, which is app.tsx. So I hope this provides a really good introduction to different project structures that most of the developers use within the React ecosystem. So mastering project structures is really important to unleashing your full coding potentials. So choose wisely at the start of your projects, and if you make the right decision at the start of your project, then it will make your life really easy while you move forward and scale your project further. I hope you really like this video, and please support me in this journey. Follow, subscribe, and like my videos, and give me your feedback as well, so that I can build on that feedback, and also give me some suggestions about what topics you would like me to cover. And I would love to make videos on those topics. Thanks a lot for watching all this video. I hope you really liked it, and see you in the next video.